Hi and welcome back to another video of jPlay. I am Marcus and today I will start my playthrough of Cities Skylines, the board game which is based on the very popular video game apparently, and it's designed by Rustin Hackenson. I think he also did Tribes, where I also did a video on my channel here too. Before we get started, I want to welcome a new patron. So John, thank you very much for supporting my channel, and of course huge shout out to all of my other patrons as well. Really appreciate your support, guys. And I think most of my patrons wanted to see me play Cities Skylines next, so I'm doing the best that I can. Bear with me, I only own the German version of the game, so das Brettspiel, but I have the English rules and I will do everything that needs to be translated as I go. There's really not a lot of things that you really have to. The game is, I would say, 90% language independent, maybe even more than that. And apparently I'm also playing with all the optional modules in this game. And yeah, let's set up the board and get started. I'm basically playing the scenario, I think it's 4, which also introduces the news cards here, and that's the, I would say, recommended setup for scenario 4. There's then later on a scenario 5 where you can really mix and match all those tiles however you see fit, but again, this is the recommended setup for scenario 4 here. I think it's a relatively easy one because you can go wherever and I think it's much easier to complete the so-called milestones, but I come to that later on in this fashion. This is what we have found out. So I have played this game multiplayer a couple of times already, but this is the first time for me playing this completely on my own, pretty much solo. So I'm also very curious how this one plays out. But again, that's our starting, I would say, region. I've already prepared the administration board, so pretty much all of those counters here start at 0. That's the main one here because that's more or less translates into happiness points or victory points in this game. If we ever move down to 5 or beyond, we immediately lose the game. And all of the others, power, water, I think this is garbage, workforce or labor, this is pollution, traffic and crime, and this is our city's treasure apparently. They usually don't let you lose the game immediately, but yeah, the farther you get out here, the worse it gets apparently. The same is true for all the other tracks up there. I drew 2 of the rolls randomly and had to choose one of those. And as I've never played with a mayor, I will go with the mayor. Yeah, Bürgermeisterin is the female version of the mayor. And her special ability allows us, if I'm ending a milestone and our labor is exactly at 0, which is usually really the best to be honest, we will score an additional 3 happiness. So that's a pretty good one too, but keeping the labor force balanced is also a very tricky business actually. Yeah, that's pretty much it. All the other modules like the policies cards or the news cards may come up or may not during the course of the game, so I will explain those when they are coming up. And now we have our first decision to make, and that's basically where we want to start. So if I want to start here, we have to spend our first $2 out of the 12 we start, and money is always tight. And if we ever run out of money and we do have to pay for something and we can't pay, we also lose the game. So here we would spend $4, $4 and $3. And right now, of course, you can check what's on the other side apparently. But for now, I don't really see a reason why we shouldn't start here on the cheap one. So I think let's do that. I might be terribly wrong, but I think let's go for it. So we will spend our first $2. We will flip it around and it has to remain the orientation. So the lake has to remain where it is. And this is where we can now start doing our business. So right now we have 1, 2, 3 so-called districts where we can place our areas or zones into. Later on this district could grow and most likely will grow into zone number B here, for example. The same would be true for this one here. But again, I will come to that as soon as we have to take care of this. Okay, that's pretty much it. Let's have a very quick look at our starting hand of cards. As we are playing solo, we always have 7 cards. And I'm not really satisfied with what we've drawn. So we have 3 residential areas here. We have a fire or police precinct here. This is, I believe, a wind turbine, this is a dog park, and this is a water tower. They're all useful, don't get me wrong, but usually you really want some more mixtures. But in this case, I was kind of lucky because some of those refer to other icons here. So I think there is some synergy already going on. So I think overall, I will not complain with my draw. Okay, then without further ado, let's get cracking. And during your turn, there's really not a lot that you can do. You either have to play a construction card, you can exchange a construction card, so there will be a pool of cards later on which we are building. So let's say I want to park something and I get to redraw stuff. This is what you would be doing if you really have a terrible choice of cards or need something that's already in that exchange pile. And the last thing to do is to end a milestone. In order to end a milestone, you have to have at least one building or one zone in each of the districts visible to you, apparently. So right now we need one here, here, and there. Again, if those guys would flip over the others, then this still counts as one district. And then if we already have a building here, that also counts for this piece here. The very last milestone, basically the fourth thing we are flipping over, we need really two zones or two buildings in each of those districts, and that really then counts for all of the districts. So we cannot simply focus on the new stuff here, but again, that's usually not that big of a deal. But then again, if for whatever reason I'm not able to do any one of my actions here, for example, I can't play a card because I only have cards that cost money and I don't have the money to spend them, or whatever it is, if I can't do any of those actions, I also automatically lose the game. So yeah, there are really tons of ways how you can lose this game. And in theory, to win this game is, first of all, you have to survive. So you have to go to your last milestones, or what you just described, having two buildings or two zones in each of the districts. And then you pretty much look at your happiness score, and usually you say everything as of, I believe, 31 you can consider as a mild victory. So there's a red zone in the rules where you can look for your score, and there's a green zone, and as of 31 things start to get green and people want to live in your city and whatnot. So 31 is definitely our score. I made it once so far, but again in a multiplayer game, and we were really close. I think we just reached 32 or so. So it's definitely not an easy game. Maybe things are different when you play it solo. Let's see. But I think again, yeah, let's get started now. And apparently I have to build a construction card, and I have some options here. Those two residential areas here, they are quite nice. So this one here, for example, gives me 1 labor. Again, having more labor than at 0 is always bad because you have to pay for them. Crime goes up and your traffic goes up. But on the other hand, if this happens to be basically, I would say, adjacent or in the same district as a recreational area or a park in this case, we can increase our happiness by 2. So that's a good thing. The same is true for this residential area. Here we would lose 2 water, and we also gain 1 extra labor, which makes sense. New people are moving into our city, so labor is available. And as a bonus, we also would get $2 extra if we build it next or in the same zone as a park. So those two are pretty okay, and you only get this bonus when you build it. So you can build the card or the building here anytime you want, pretty much. And maybe you don't have a park, you can still play this card, but you don't get that bonus. Later on, it's too late. When you build it, you have to go for that bonus here. And again, we were kind of lucky in this situation, as we did get this dog park here, which is a park, a recreational area. The smallest one, but that's still fine. It costs us $1 when we build it, and in theory, we would lose 2 pollution. The problem is, we don't have any pollution, so we are pretty much losing this benefit, this bonus here. But I think this is really what comes with the game. There are a lot of trade-offs, a lot of decisions you have to make. You cannot do everything right. It's like SimCity pretty much. You really have to focus on stuff. And I think let's really start with that dog park here. So we will play it. It really goes out of the game immediately. So we have to spend pretty much $1 out of our remaining 10, I should say. And then we have to make a call where to place it, as this is a level 1 so-called service building, and there are 6 types of service buildings. So there is medical, there is school, traffic, whatever you name it, but this is a service building. the level 1 service building always needs to be adjacent to the, let's say, buildings that want to leverage it or make use out of it. So I shouldn't place it really in the corner where no one is able to reach it. I really should place it centrally. So I could do it something like this, for example, because then also when this one flip over, it could also benefit here. But then on the other hand, I don't really have a lot of space here for the 2 residential areas I own. On the other hand, here I really have plenty of room. But then again, maybe I find something on this side here too. So I think, and you, of course, you have all those tiles, you can always choose them. And I think that's not the worst spot to place it. So that's pretty much already our entire round, more or less. So we placed our dog park here. Again, might be a terrible mistake, and I'm playing alone. Or normally, again, it's a cooperative game, so everyone can chime in. Hey, no, don't place it here. I have this card here, and all the cards are open. So problem is, could be an alpha gamer kind of experience, but yeah, usually that's basically depending on your game rounds. But yeah, you can discuss this. Now I have to talk to myself apparently. But again, that was our dog park here. And the last thing to do is to refill our hand. And I can choose from any of the piles I want. I could go for 1, a 2, or a 3. 3, maybe should not do that. 2, even the rules speak, get cards too early in the game, because yeah, they are more powerful, especially the service buildings. From level 2, they don't need to be adjacent to the other areas. They just need to be in the same district, for example. And I already have 6 other level 1 cards. So I think it's really not a bad idea starting off with a level 2 card now. And here we found a commercial area, which is not bad. So this gives us, or we would basically, it creates garage. We would lose 1 labor. I think that's good. We gain 1 traffic. That's bad. And if we happen to place this commercial building into a district where there is at least 1 green, blue and yellow buildings, so residential, commercial and industrial, we would gain $4. So that's definitely huge. But of course, we have to get there first. And then it's already the next round. You see, game can be relatively quick, especially when playing alone. Again, I have to make a choice, playing a card, exchanging a card, or calling it an end of a milestone, which I cannot do. So we would place another card. So I could either go for this one or for this one. I should go for either this one or this one. And here I get money. Here I get more happiness. I will place both anyway, so I think it doesn't really matter. So let's start with this residential area here. We will lose 2 water and gain 1 labor. And losing 2 water is a problem, because for every of those counters up here that are in the negative, we will lose 1 happiness. So pretty much this is costs us 2 happiness. That's bad. That's really bad. So I have to do something about that soon, but we will be able to do that. And we gain 1 labor, which is okay. Problem is, 1 labor in the plus costs us $1 at the end of the round, or at the end of a milestone. Same is true in the other way. So if it would be here, we would also lose $2. So we really want to keep it at 0 at best. And I think that's about it for that. Because of this, we have now to place it, and we can choose any kind of building here, essentially. We can choose the shape. It's really on us, but I think I already checked it out. So let's place the big one here. So we placed it next to a park, which it says, again, it's a level 1 park, so we really have to place it adjacent. And yeah, this simply gives us 2 additional bucks, and that's really, really important. Let's draw our next card, and I think let's go for yet another level 2 card. I will still draw level 1 cards, but maybe I should do that. No, let's go for a level 1 card now. So let's see what we get. That's another commercial one. We would lose 1 workforce, but that's very common for commercial areas. Wow, crime goes up by 2. Oh, that's something. And if we would place it basically next to a traffic service building, we would gain $3 for that. So I think that's not too bad. And again, that's the end of our round. Okay, some decisions to make. Here we get some water back. I think this is something that we should consider doing before we finish with our current milestone. And we need 2 more buildings in other districts too, so we must not forget that either. But I still want to place this residential area here because again we could place it next and we would gain 2 happiness right off the bat. So yeah, let's do that. So we will play this card here. So labor goes up again. Of course, we are moving new citizens into the city. Crime goes up by 1 and traffic also goes up by 1. 1, 2, and 3, that's fine. Next we can place the building, and I really don't want to spend too much time searching here, so I think let's place it like this. I believe that should be still okay, because in theory there is this one more here, yeah. And we simply need to touch it just barely. Diagonally it's not enough, it really needs to be orthogonally, but that's perfectly fine. So we placed it next to a park. In this case our happiness goes up by 2 points. Hooray! And the last thing to do is to draw another card, and I think let's go with the level 1 card. Another residential area. We haven't seen any industrial areas yet. But right now I think we don't really need those. They also consume 1 water. They again bring 1 workforce, and if we would build it next to a medical service building, I believe, yeah, we would gain 1 extra dollar. Next round, and I think it's time to do the water tower, because right now we already are at -2 and we could lose 1 more for another residential area. So I think building the water tower here isn't our worst idea. Yeah, let's do that. So we have to spend $3 out of our 11, I believe. Yep, that's the case. The water tower, the small one, is one of those so-called utility buildings. So we have garbage, water and power. So we get the smallest one here. And usually there aren't any requirements from other buildings. Anyway, there is a rule about those utility buildings. You can only place 1 utility building in 1 district. So I cannot also place, I don't know, the wind turbine here, for example. So I really can place it here at the far left corner of the game board. So we placed it, we already paid, and what it does, it gives us 1, 2, 3 water. That's nice. The problem is we don't get extra happiness if we are on the green area. This simply says, yeah, we are not losing any if we are in the red area. So that's kind of a bummer. Again, we have a hole to fill. Let's go with the level 2 card. Oh, wow. Okay, that's a news card. We don't have enough workforces. I really have to translate this on the fly. So this stays in play pretty much as long as it's either discarded at a milestone or when we draw a news card. But this says always when the labor goes down and is under 0, we would also lose 1 happiness. Okay, that's not the worst thing in the world, because right now we are in the positive. So if we would lose some workforce now, we don't lose any happiness. I think that's really not terrible. That's really not terrible. I really have to remember that. Anyway, of course I get to redraw my card. Let's stick to the level 2 card, and that's a cemetery. Yeah, we can basically build it for 3, and it, yeah, gives us 1 additional dollar, and of course it still counts as this symbol up there, and it's a level 2 service building, so we can place it anywhere within the district to have, let's say, other buildings benefit from it. Nice. So now we are coming closer to the end of our potential milestone. It's up to us when we want to end our milestones. We don't have to do that right away. In theory, right now we need 1 more zone down there. And yeah, then we could then with the next action say, hey, we want to end the milestone, so we will open up another territory in our city here. But of course, let's have a look at our cards first. And we really have a lot of expensive cards, and maybe I will go for the fire precinct or department here actually, because that's the one I could leverage right off the bat, unless I want to build the cemetery first and then maybe the residential area, which could also help us. He would lose what, but we would gain yet another labor, and then we would end it. We have to pay for this labor, so I think that's not our best choice, and we don't get any. I think it's really this. So let's spend $1 here to build the fire department. It's a level 1 service building. Anyway, we have to spend the dollar. We will give us 1 extra happiness. I think that's a good thing. And then of course we have to build the building. And I think this is one I want to really put next to something. So maybe something like this. So later on it could also serve the next zone down there, because again it will extend, or this district will extend. We have given ourselves our happiness, we have spent the dollar, the card is gone. Let's draw another card, and we really need yellow cards because those usually consume workforce and give us money. So I think, should we go with another level 1 card? Yeah, let's go for one more level 1 card, and it's again another residential area. Again, I could always get rid of cards, so I could park them somewhere, but each card I'm ditching this way cost me $2, and money is really, really tight. Whew, okay, wow, this goes terribly wrong, I have the feeling. It's not looking good, but there's really not a whole lot I can do right now. So again, I have now 1 tile in each of the districts, so I could call it a round, and things wouldn't look too bad. So in theory, we would gain 3 points we would place onto our skyscrapers here. So this is then basically indefinite points. We would lose $2 because again we are 2 away from our 0 here, and apart from that we are not losing any happiness because of our things up there. So I think overall that's kind of okay-ish. The problem is I don't really get a whole lot of dollars, and my best bet would be really this or that. The problem is I haven't seen any industrial card yet, because then this would be really, really great, and maybe I would have flipped this, and this gives us $4, and then I think we are more or less okay. We would lose one workforce, which is great, we need this too, but overall that's really not looking good. The cemetery is cool, but we cannot lose another dollar. We had 7 and we need at least 3 to flip 1 additional tile over. So do I want to spend $2 extra out of my 7 to get rid of a card and draw a group? But this could also be a terrible card. This could be maybe another, I don't know, policy, or it could be a news card. Policies we haven't seen yet. Policies are usually good but cost you a lot of money. And keep in mind we need 3 plus $2, so $5 in total right now. And we don't get to use our mayor's benefit here because we are not at 0. This would give us 3 more happiness, which is huge, apparently. On the other hand, I could also place a building and don't go for the benefit. This could also be something to consider, actually. We could be doing something like this. We would lose 1 workforce, which is good apparently, and yeah, crime would go up, which is not so good, but we don't get the benefit because right now we don't have any what is it, service building around traffic. I don't know. It's traffic. Yeah, traffic. Or we could go for this one here, so we would basically gain another pollution. This is bad. We would also gain, I think this is the worst thing because this gives us more money than the other one. And here we would ultimately save $1 actually, because when we would then call it around, we only spending $4 instead of 5. And I think, yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's build this commercial area here. So we will lose 1 labor. We have the news card in play, but we are not in the 0, so we are not losing any happiness. That's good. Crime will go up by 2, which is really bad. So once we are here, we cannot gain any more. So that's kind of a problem, really limiting us down. And at the end of the game, everyone that's basically here starting in the orange will also subtract 1 happiness from our total count. So this could be minus 15 points if they're all in the reds here, for example. So I'm not getting the bonus because I'm not able to place it next to a traffic building. And so I think for now, let's build, I think this one here, right? I think that's more or less, is it the smallest one? Yeah, kind of, I think it is. Doesn't really matter. So let's place it next to this one here. Again, there is no penalty or benefit we are getting out of this, but we are able to basically ditch this card and get a new card, and really hoping for something to help us here. So I think let's go for a level 2 card once more. Yeah, why not? Oh, okay, that's a unique building. I think that's a governmental building, and there is a whole pile of unique buildings, and that's actually a unique one. So at the end of a milestone, so when I call a milestone, we can basically choose to reduce one of those pollution, traffic or crime by 1 step. Okay, that's a nice one actually. That's a really, really nice one, and you don't have to pay for those buildings, so that's definitely a good thing. And I guess because we are about to end, I think why not do it now? Again, we don't have to spend anything for that. Again, yeah, let's build this governmental building here, Regierungsgebäude, if you want to learn some German with me. And the only real downside with those buildings is that they're really huge, actually. I think this is really the only area I can place it. So I think here, yeah, let's do it like this. So that's our governmental building. So whenever I'm now doing end of a milestone, we basically can reduce one of our pollution, traffic or crime. That's not too bad. We played a level 2 card, so I think let's draw another level 2. And again, we are not lucky. Another service building. I think that's level 2 school, high school or so. We could spend $3 to gain 1 happiness. Not a bad thing. So don't get me wrong. But again, money is incredibly tight. In theory, I could also go for this residential building. The problem is I will lose 1 power in order to gain 1 happiness. And right now I'm 0 power, so I will lose 1 happiness in the end of the round, and in order to gain 1. So, and we would basically, it's not worthwhile yet. So I think now it's really about time to end the milestone. So we certainly have at least 1 I think it's tile they're referring to it, 1 tile per district. This doesn't count as a district apparently, and maybe with one of the expansions there will be a way to use water or so. I'm not sure about this. So again, yeah, let's call it an end of a milestone. So first of all, we look at the top 3 here. None of those are in the negatives, which is a good thing. So we are not losing any happiness. Next thing, we will check for the happiness. So we are at 3. So we can pretty much score this here, 1, 2 and 3, and this is really nice, very nice looking thing. So we are 3 points out of our, I think 32 was the goal. Kind of ridiculous actually. Then we check our workforce. It's at +1, so unfortunately still we have to spend $1. So overemployment and underemployment, they're both bad. You always have to spend money in order to counter that. So that's actually that's clear. We are not losing anything here, but because of our unique building, the governmental building, Regierungsgebäude, we can now reduce 1 of those by 1. And I think, yeah, apparently let's go with this one here for now. Yeah, because the farther it gets, the more likely it is we cannot buy a building, because let's say we are here and we would had a cool building, but we would need to add 2 more crime. We couldn't do that. So I think overall going below here or going down here is definitely key. And then we have to make a choice which one of those new sites we are basically to. I think right now there's no reason not going for the cheap one here. So we will spend $3 in order to flip this one over. And now we can nicely see that this district has extended over into this new tile down here. So this now really counts as 1 district. And again, if you want to flip over or end the next milestone, this one already counts as having 1 tile in its district. So that could be definitely a nice thing. We can also get rid of our news card here. So that's definitely a good thing, I would say. And if I want now, I could exchange my cards. Now it's a lot cheaper. I think I can basically go for any one of my cards, and even all 7 of those, but each card costs me $1. And right now I'm only at $3. And with $3 you usually can build those service or utility buildings. So I think let's not do that. On the other hand, I really need additional cards. Oh, this will be such a close call actually. Oh, this one would be so nice, but I still don't have this yellow one here. That's really a bummer. So maybe I want to ditch one of those cards, because right now I don't really need those immediately. So there's no immediate bonus. This one, of course, here. So I could build this for 3 in order to gain $1 here, but yeah, you can do the math yourself actually. So I think let's toss it. This really goes back to the box, so it doesn't go to the discard pile, and we get to choose a replacement card. Of course, I have to spend $1. And I think let's go to 1 more level 1 card. And unfortunately, again, this was exactly the card I was just... No, it was not. Okay, that's no, that's not. It was a different card. This was a card I already played. Yeah, that's a bus station pretty much. $1 and -2 traffic. Nice, but again, we had only 1 traffic, so things are really bad. Oh man, this is really bad. But I think I will end my playthrough here. So right now I'm not quite sure if I will do 1 milestone at a time, or if my next playthrough I maybe could be for 2 each. I think that's okay. Things will start to speed up right now, so I could go for this and that, and then the remaining 2 milestones down here. Keep in mind, flipping this over doesn't end the game. We still have to go through 1 final milestone, where we then have to have 2 tiles in each of those districts. So I think this could work out, 2 and 2 pretty much, and then 3 episodes for this playthrough is relatively nice, unless things are really progressing much faster. Then maybe I can do that in 2 videos only. I really hope you're enjoying this. Again, terribly sorry for the German version of the game, but yeah, that's like it is. I keep doing my best in order to translate it on the fly, and there's your chance to learn some German with me. And yeah, hope to see you soon in one of my other videos, and until then, bye bye.